This is something that happened to me a few years ago when I was living with my family next to a neighbor who had a very old house. Every day I would play with my cousins and little brother in my backyard. We could always see the neighbor watering her plants. She had a pond in her yard where the ducks she owned would joyfully swim. We'd occasionally see her feeding them when she was tending to her yard. One day, her ducks went missing. We tried to help her find them, but weren't able to. There weren't any wild animals in our neighborhood, if you don't count stray cats. But there's no way cats would have eaten these big ducks. Around that same time, my grandma would tell me that there was a girl in a red dress always walking on the roof of my neighbor's house at 3 a.m., but it's only there for an hour. I didn't believe it at first, but my neighbor kept experiencing strange mishaps. One time, while I was playing with my little brother, I heard a scream. I looked over the neighbor's fence to see if everything was okay. When I did, what I saw was horrifying. By the pond, there used to be a pile of regular sticks, but this time, there was a stack of bloody bones and skulls instead. I looked from the pile back to my neighbor, who was standing there frozen. When I looked back at the pile, I could see that there were bugs and insects crawling here and there on the bones. And the smell. There was a putrid smell carried on the soft breeze to my nose. It made me sick to my stomach. Fortunately, my brother was too short to see over the fence. Even though he wanted to see for himself, I did not let him. I didn't want him to be traumatized like me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bed, the image and smell of the pile of bones still vivid in my mind. I glanced over at the clock after a while. It was 12:59 a.m. Just as the clock switched to 3 a.m., I heard 2 metal objects banging in my backyard. There was a window in my room, so I got out of bed and walked over to it, trying to see what the noise was. I was horrified to see a girl in a red dress walking on the fence. Her hair was dark and very crazy. Her skin was pale, and from where I was standing, I couldn't see her eyes. Just as I started to wonder how she could walk on the fence like that, I realized that she had 2 horns coming out of each of her feet. I was frozen in place, unsure what to do. Just then, she let out a horrifying scream and jumped into my backyard, landing on all 4s. She twisted her neck and looked directly at the very window I was standing in front of. That's when I saw it. Her eyes weren't there. No eyelids, nothing. Just dark and empty sockets. In an instant, she rushed to my window, and when she got to it, she started banging on the window like she was trying to break it. I fell back away from the window, captured by absolute fear. I screamed, but no one seemed to hear me. She kept scratching and banging at the window, screaming this awful, gut-wrenching scream. I couldn't move, but I could now see, as I stared directly where her eyes should be, that her eye sockets were full of this thick, black liquid, and there were insects crawling in and out of the gross liquid. The entire encounter felt like it took only a few minutes, but when she disappeared, and I no longer felt frozen in place, I looked around and noticed that it was now 4 a.m. I was stuck there in terror for an entire hour. Just like my grandmother said, it disappeared at exactly 4 a.m. At this point, I was shaking so badly that it was almost painful. I tried to go back to sleep, but I couldn't. I will never forget that night, especially her face. I will remember that horrifying sight until the day I take my last breath.